Stinky's arrived.
Los Santos. The Quiet City. That's what they call it. Don't know why though, it's very rarely quiet. Because it's loud, will cry. My ears just literally filled with crime. Can't stand it. And at the moment, the streets are loud with murder. Douglas Happenstance was his name. Surgery was his game. And turns out, being shot in the back is too. People and their hobbies. Well. Snow is falling in Quiet City. But you can't pull the snow over my eyes. That's the expression, right? Pulling the snow over someone's eyes? I'm pretty sure that's the expression. There's some people I need to talk to. Susie. Susie Crumplebottom. What was she fighting with Happenstance about at the party? Also, the wolf. Would I be barking up the wrong tree there? What about this April winter? What was it that she was arguing Happenstance about? A lot of people pointing fingers at each other. And it's hard to see in this winter. The snow, it blinds my eyes. But I'm still gonna find the truth, I say. Well, my name isn't. Trick Dacy. Private Eye. And I've just received $100. Big bucks. Hello. Feel a bit naughty. And is streaming at the same time. I need to sort something out. Because playing the game and doing the old background removal doesn't work. Makes things get all jibbity jaggedy jibbity jibbity. There we go. Here we are. Got to question some people. I don't even know if the people I need to question are on and available. So, could be not much questioning happens. We aren't yet. But hopefully, we'll get some answers. I've also just remembered there was something else I needed to do. I wonder if I could quickly sort this out without making a big noise and disturbing things. But hello everyone. How is everyone today? Is everyone having a nice... I've got a new hat. I got given it as a gift. It's got a J on it. That's exciting, isn't it? Has anyone else received any embroidered knitwear? Is embroidered the correct word? Initialized? Has anyone been given initialized headwear? Or any other kind of knitwear? No, we're going to have a moment of double audio in a second, and I'm going to try my best to try and avoid it. Because I have discovered that sometimes some suspects or witnesses don't remember stuff. So I just remembered I need to quickly send someone a reminder of something. Problem with like leaving all these breadcrumbs is not everyone picks up all the breadcrumbs. Right, so what I need to do is get onto my clips. I'm pretty sure I made a clip of this. So hopefully I can just quickly send this reminder. I meant to do this before starting. Here it is. Just gotta get the right person. Just gotta quickly send the thing. This is awkward. Okay. Now we can resume. This car does not handle on the snow very well at all. Though none of the suspects seem to be around at the moment. Someone should hopefully at least be able to give us their account of the night in question. I've gone up into the car park. This is great. This is good stuff. Well, let's go. So yes, I received this hat as a thank you for taking part in a research project. It's pretty much as fun as the anecdote gets. I wasn't being researched. I was part of like the steering committee. Is that the word I'm looking for? the something board, something panel, advisory panel. That's it. I was on the advisory panel. And everyone got a hat with their initial on it. I don't know why. In no way hat related. Literally nothing. Nothing to do with hats. Hello, sheep. How are you? Yeah, I didn't really promote this one. Just kind of was like, yeah, I'll just do it. Also because added was like, I'm gonna stream. I was like, oh, that's when I was planning on doing it. So I'm just gonna quietly. I am having a nice. Are you having a nice, sheep? I'm feeling more stressed. I don't know why. Probably because I could never remember where anything is. The tribulations of having cinematic mode on. For the aesthetic I'm after. Means I can never find anything. I never know if I'm hungry or not. I'll head into the hospital. You handed in a uni assignment yesterday and today. Ah, is this like your last thing before... Like, do you get a break now for, like, Christmas? In terms of uni stuff? Obviously not for work, but... Is it the beginning of a period of rest? Yeah. Slipped into one. No, I think I'll go back here. Yeah, semester is now done. One exam to do, but no more until the end of January. Oh, you don't mind sharing, sheep? What is it you're studying? That's something you're happy to tell us about. And is it in data science? Ooh. Say ooh like I can even begin to fathom what that means. Oh, I know I'm in the right ballpark here. Up here? No, it's not. Some Java and Python. Now, I've been trying to learn. Well, not learn. Basically, a young person I support. I've been trying to use, like, for us both to try and learn some coding stuff together as the kind of tool that we use to kind of meet our outcomes and all that kind of business. And I don't understand a single bit of it, and we've only done it once, and it was literally the first lesson in Python. Am I where I think I am? Yeah, I don't understand it at all. It's definitely not something that's within my skill set. But he was taken to it pretty quickly. He's quite he's quite methodical, sort of logical kind of guy. So I feel like it suits him well. Oh, I was close. Nowhere near. So today I was hoping to question, without even checking if they were going to be on, April and Susie. I recognise this road. Do I? Right, this should be it here. Yes. Oh, there's no car here though, but even here. Yeah, but Doesn't seem either on. It might be that they're on as different characters, which is fine. Like I said, I didn't pre-plan anything. Hello there.
Hello, how's it going, pal? You were at the funeral, eh?
I was. That's right. As were you.
I was indeed, aye. How can I help you?
Well, what's your name there, sir?
Oh, Bert Stewart.
Nice to meet you. Name's Dacy. Trick Dacy.
Oh, aye, that rings a bell. That rings a bell.
Well,
you
seems
been
I've
up?
been tasked to kind of see if I can figure out what happened to your old pal Happenstance there.
Oh, aye. Good luck. I was the.
Well, I wonder if you could answer some questions for me.
I'll do my best. I wasn't really about the day that it all kicked off, I don't think, but I can answer anything you need.
There's more to a man than just one day.
We know. Fair.
So, what were your kind of overall impressions of the fella?
He was a bit sort of, I don't know, stubborn at sometimes, but I think mostly what I remember from him is he lost a patient in surgery at some point.
So there.
It really threw him for a big loop. He was down for a while.
So, when you say he was stubborn, did he seem to get in altercations a lot with other people?
I wouldn't say altercations. Just sort of when he had his mind set on something, he would stick to it.
I see. So you never saw him get into any fights or arguments with anyone?
Listen, in quiet sight, it's hard to tell. Folk get in fights with each other all the time, but know that I can remember off the top of my head now.
No. So there are kind of two nights I've been focusing on. See,
Aye.
There's been the night of the ball.
Yes.
And the other night I've kind of been focusing on is the night of the EMS party.
Aye. Well, I was at the EMS party, so I can help with that.
And you didn't see him getting into any disputes with anyone there? No one throwing any punches, anything like that?
Somebody said something about him starting on Take Heart, maybe. Was it? Or did somebody Take Heart start on him? Listen, I don't know enough to actually provide concrete stuff. All I know is conjecture and rumours which fly about this hospital all the time.
And sure, and what did you get up to on that night, sir?
I took my top off and did a lot of dancing.
I see. And did you go there by yourself, or is there anyone who can corroborate your kind of story there?
I went there with... Who did I go with? Oh, Ralph. I went there with Ralph Huggins.
Ralph Huggins.
He was my +1. I don't think he was really enjoying it that much. He left kind of early, but he was there. He was there with me.
See, and were you on there on the night of the mash ball?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't around.
I see. Where were you?
Yeah, I was sleeping.
You were sleeping. You slept through it. See,
yep, exactly.
I've got to be just as interested as the people who weren't there as were there. You get what I mean?
I suppose. I guess. Did
Not
it not happen?
personal. I just got to check every little nook and cranny.
Aye. That makes sense. I mean, aye. I'm not sure. Wasn't there, but aye.
But you're
I
thinking...
heard it was fun. All the raffling people off and stuff, so...
Yeah, but you think he had some kind of altercation with Take Heart, you say?
It's hard to tell, because there's a lot of people who had a few problems with Take Heart, and I can't actually remember if it was Happenstance that was having an issue with him.
Well...
I know that... Norman also had an issue with him, but I don't know if he brought it up on the same day or not.
Now, am I right in thinking that Norman's left town?
Yes, I packed up all his stuff, left a letter of resignation and disappeared.
Now, did this happen before or after the murder?
After? Yeah, after.
So the guy picked up and left town just after a murder took place?
Aye, it seems to be the case. I think the reasons seem to be that he didn't go on with Take Heart though. But I suppose that could be something worth looking into.
And would you seem to say that Take Heart gets into a lot of these situations where people seem to have problems with it?
Well, there was a whole thing where he went on a hypnotising spree, turning people into so-called evil demons.
I hear about this, but it sounds a bunch of hooey to me. Demons
Oh
and the
yeah,
like.
I think it was just hypnosis. You know, like you see the hypnotist, they wear the pocket watch and stuff. I've seen one of them at a show and it was quite convincing. So that's my guess of what it is anyway.
Oh,
Not
yes,
supernatural or anything like that. Just
that Darren Beige.
I've not seen that one. No, it was some local guy came round. It was in the Masonic back home. It was great night. All the Moors were cheering.
Oh, the Mars love it.
They really do. They love a good hypnotist. Making their husbands do daft stuff, stand on their head and good stuff, mate.
Oh, it sounds truly hilarious.
Oh, it was. What a night. So I imagine it was something like that. I don't think there was actually any spooky hocus pocus about it.
And do you think this Takeout has it in him to kill a man?
No, I mean he'd taken an oath that he wouldn't, so I guess we'd have to hope that would stop him. But no, really. He's kind of harmless. He's a bit of a fuck boy. Likes to talk to the ladies and that, and the men sometimes. But no, I don't think so.
And this Ralph fella he went with you.
Aye, Ralph Huggins.
He's never had any kind of altercation with Rappenstance?
Maybe.
Might have. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Maybe Ralph took a swing at him. Maybe it was just over there.
I don't remember anything like that happening. No, Ralph's a good friend of mine, you see. So
I see.
I would remember.
Yeah, maybe even Ralph took a swing at Happenstance and hit you in the face by accident.
Nah, that doesn't sound like Ralph. Ralph's a great guy.
Okay.
No. Everything was totally fine. Yeah, Ralph met me here. We had no disagreements with anybody, and then we just
He
left.
doesn't remember it. All right, that's really helpful. And also, I heard kind of the whole region. There were some strange things going on. Like his locker got broke into and money was stolen.
Oh, no, first I've heard of that.
Hospital funds taken.
Was that from the fundraiser stuff?
So the fundraiser was because of that, I believe.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not sure. Not sure anything about that, to be honest. Nobody tells me nothing, just a physiotherapist. I'm not a doctor or nothing.
Hey, don't you say just about being a physiotherapist.
Well,
Very
you know what I mean.
important
In the management structure, it's not much, but of course I know it's very important.
Well, I think you probably do a great... I'm just going to make an assumption here and say you do a great work.
Oh, thanks very much. That's really kind of you to say. I'm quite strong, so it comes in handy for cracking people's joints back into position and stuff.
Yeah, so if anything does... I'm going to give you my number, so if you do remember anything...
Tell you what, I'll jump in and just make sure.
You can pass any information you might get and let me know.
Yeah, I'd take mine as well, just in case you've got any follow-up questions. Ideal. Yep, that's all on the phone.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Of course, anytime. I hope you managed to find it out, because
I'm gonna get the guy. Don't you worry about that.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. Right, well, I wish you luck. Maybe later on there'll be some other people
just
trying to
remembered.
help you out more.
Did you ever notice any tension between Happenstance and Miss April Winter?
No, not off the top of my head, no.
A lot of people seem to be pointing the finger at her,
Well, she was one of the people that were hypnotized by Take Cart, so I think she might be involved in that stuff, but I don't think...
Do you think that... you think there's a chance that Take Cart could have manipulated her into this situation where she might have done it, so...
I think the whole hypnotism stuff was over by then, though. Like by a couple of weeks, or by a week or something.
Now,
maybe.
If he's hypnotizing people, does that not just mean he just has the ability to do that? Does that really end?
No, well, I think what was being said was he was also being hypnotized, so...
By
like,
who?
he wasn't at fault either, which makes it messy, I know.
She. So who hypnotizes the hypnotizer?
That I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe that's one of the police. I think they probably dealt with all that stuff.
I see. Well, thank you so much for your help today, bud.
Of course, it's my pleasure, honestly. Mind and stop by if you need any medical attention or that. You know, there should always be somebody here.
Yeah. Not like the old days. So many times I got hurt and then I was just left lying there. Now
so you had to deal with one of the nurses that like steal money or what?
What's that?
500 quid a pop.
Yeah, I know. Bankrupt me once or twice.
Aye.
One time I was hit by 10 cars.
You in the motorway or something?
Yeah, I was.
Aye, that'll do it.
I used to be on the force, you see, and I was on alert, and I was like, I just got to run across this road to get there. It was on the line of duty.
Used to be police.
I used to be before I went private.
What's what made you drop out of the force and take
too much
your
admin.
enemies?
I'm not one for writing reports and, you know, putting up all the red tape. I want to get results. I want to get things done.
Surely the reports is most of what you do as a PI, no?
Yeah, but they're all up here.
And it's
in the cloud. Also in my head.
I see.
I don't have to use... I believe you guys use it too, the MDT system.
Oh, the micro Davy Trout?
I just go and ask people and I just... You know...
I see what you mean. Aye. So it's all fresh in your mind.
Yeah, and it was all responses, not actual investigation. And that's what I like.
Fair enough. Well, aye. I guess you're doing well. I've got a case already.
It's a big one too.
Good job. Oh, really?
Well, yeah, it's murder. I mean, it's pretty as big as it gets, to be fair.
What about
Oh, we're on shaky
serial
ground here.
killers?
Let's see where you go.
What about serial killers? Sure, that's the big
Well,
deal.
yeah, I mean, who knows? That could be the case. Who knows? They might strike again.
Shit. That is a terrifying thought.
And we have to see if it's medical personnel that they're targeting.
Fucking better no. They'll get tasered. I carry mine on me at all times.
And is that the case for all of the medical staff? You're armed?
I think so. We get taser training off the police.
I see. But only tasers, no firearms. See, he was shot in the back.
No firearms. I think I think we are allowed to get weapons licenses just like anyone else, but no, the only thing that we're mandated as EMS is the taser.
Okay. I've just had a thought. That's been really helpful, thank you.
Of course, anytime, mate.
Well, I hope you have a... I know we're not supposed to say the word, but you know that word, night?
Yes, I know, yes.
Oh, let's make it festive. I hope you have a silent night.
Yes, very...
a holy night,
indeed.
but not as in, like, people filled with holes. Just, you know...
Yes. There's been enough people filled with holes already.
Stock up on your corks.
Exactly, I do believe that is the adequate medical treatment for that.
Alright, you take care now, Bert.
You too. It's nice having a wee chat with you. Mind and check the joke of the day in your way. It's on that...
Well, yeah, I actually need to use the vending machine too, so...
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I think... we need to, find out which members of the medical team have been issued... out of all the suspects, see who's been issued weapons licenses. Why doesn't Santa go to the hospital? He has private health care. So. Not many police on, so I can't really do that yet. What are you doing? Now, I don't know if... I can't remember if on the MDT... if you can... anyone can access who has weapons licenses. Not entirely sure. Let's see. Where even is the police station? Right. It's down this road. Right. I have no concept of direction. Nope. Nope. I was hoping it would come up on the compass. But it's not coming up on the compass. I mean, it's a trick, doesn't it? He doesn't know his way around. It's what I always said about him when he was in the police forces. His incompetency was a good mask for my own. Straight ahead for a bit. Alright, I think we'll be alright from here. And watch me absolutely lose it. I tried to get snow tires, but I couldn't get snow tires. Yes, boats, I recognise that. Yes, I found it. No one's here. Wonder. No, I wondered if there was some kind of thing which meant I could still have access to it, but I don't. Alright.
Hola, this is Quinn.
Oh, hello there. This is Trick Dacy, the private eye.
Hi, how's it going?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Just you know, cruising around Mirror Park, looking at future houses to dream about.
Sheesh, so important police work then.
Well, not a lot's happening right now.
Well, I'm just curious if you could help me with something.
Of course. What's up?
Using the old MDT, I just need reminding. Are you able to look at who in the city has been given weapons licenses and who hasn't?
I do not believe I do, actually. I think like people have been manually writing it down, but I don't think I can like actually look it up. I'll try and yeah, not to my knowledge at least.
I see. So you think that maybe Hawkins or LaRouge got it written down?
You know what? I'm not gonna say anything in case I say something wrong. I'll get back to you on that, okay?
That's good. I just need to find out about a few people as well who are suspects in the happenstance murder.
Oh, okay. Well, I should probably check with my superior before I give out any information on individuals
it's
anyway.
Dacy here. I mean, come on now.
Well, I'm so new. I just got promoted to recruit, so I don't think it would be my place to divulge any information. But I'm sure like a detective could do that.
Promoted to recruit? What were you before?
Sorry, say that again.
You said you were promoted to recruit. What were you before a recruit?
I was just recently promoted to officer. See, I can't even.
Oh, you're officer already. How long were you recruit for?
Not that long, actually.
Oh, really? That's interesting, because when I was in the force, I was a recruit for about 2 months.
Wow,
It takes you a few weeks. You're up there
that.
already, I see. Is why I left the force.
That's too bad. Been fun
not
to have
really.
you
That's
here,
not
I
why
guess.
I left the force. It was the admin, but still.
Alright.
Well, if you could look into that for me, that'd be great. I'd really appreciate it.
Well, but again, I probably can't give you any information without at least clearing it with detectives, and
Yeah,
even then, like
I'm sure they will. You do what you need to do. I'm pretty sure they'll say yes. So.
Alright, good luck on your investigation.
Speak to LeChuck. He's your man.
Okay, I'll speak to LeChuck.
Wherever he may be. I'd like him not to be around.
What?
So it's unlike him to not be around.
Maybe, LeChuck has been working really, really hard, so it deserves a little bit of a break now.
Hardest working people on the force, I'd say.
You know what? I wouldn't disagree, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who work as hard as LeChuck. I aspire to do.
Huh? Were you at the ball, the masked ball?
Was that the masked ball?
Yeah, were you there?
I was. Maybe I made an appearance. No, I don't think I was there.
No, so had you never met the happenstance fella?
No, I missed all of that.
Okay, just thought they might have some kind of impression of the man, but it's okay.
So sorry, I haven't really lived in the city that long.
Well, a day can feel like years in Quiet City.
Yeah, I remember when, the day, I think, just as I got the job as a recruit was when you left the force.
Yeah,
and everybody was, saluting and, yeah.
Alright, well, thanks for your help, Nevis.
Okay, good luck with your investigation. I'm sure you'll get it.
Oh, I'm gonna get the person. I'm gonna get the punk. I'm gonna get that bum. See?
Okay. Okay. I'm sure you will. I believe in you.
Alright. If you could get back to me as soon as you found out about those licenses, that'd be great.
Okay. I will.
Right. Tatty buys! So we spoke to Bert, who couldn't remember a thing I was hoping he'd remember. Even when I gave him quite a big prompt about it, he did not remember it. I was like, oh, was there any chance that maybe Ralph threw a punch at happenstance and hit you by accident? He was like, no, it didn't happen. It definitely happened. He has no memory of it, and that's a problem I'm finding. People aren't remembering. I've left all these breadcrumbs everywhere. And no one remembers them. No one's picked them up. It did happen. Exactly. He just has no memory of it. And I think it's because I'm a bit slow on actually making this all happen. Memories are it's because so much happens in between. And that's what I think the problem has been, is I've been slow in getting this investigation off the ground. But there we go. Now let's see if anyone. Come on. who can help since. No. Excellent parking job as always. Halfway through the road.
That car is fine as fuck.
Ooh. I love this car so much. I can't wait to have something where I can get people to be stood on the sides of it and like recharge into some kind of situation. That's going to be so satisfying. What was the other thing I wanted to do? Oh, sorry, I'm just doing a bit of admin. Do this. We're going to see the top of the map a bit. You can still see the map quite a bit, but we kind of still got the heart. I was just doing some. Oh, I got a wheat so quick. We got a bit of map, but that's fine. It's we can't have the complete widescreen effect without me getting lost, so we'll get rid of what we can. Other people haven't used it for that purpose. Well, I think the reason is sheep, because it's not the fastest. If you've got the money to speed it up, I've done 2 upgrades on it. And it's still quite slow. Can't afford the 3rd. About to starve to death. Doesn't like it when you do that. Let's just get refreshed. And I need to de-stress, apparently. I've got the tiniest little... haven't seen the baked bean stuff yet. I haven't had a chance. But I'm really keen to watch it. I don't tend to watch VODs too much, but I feel like this is one I will have to delve into. I'm excited to see what happened. And the thing is, it gives you so many ideas straight away. Like, when you know that that's a thing that can potentially happen, I'm curious, like, what other animals you can become, or whatever other things they might allow you to be.
I gotta go, but when I get home, be naked.
Like, if I could be like a pigeon or a seagull, you get some kind of bird. No, you get like hawks. I'd like to just be a hawk. Also, I've got the beginnings of a new idea, so I gotta get this this case solved to get that going, because it could potentially be massive. And it involves an old acquaintance from this stream. So, what do you do when none of the people you need are around? And on that note, not many people at all. It's a one-off. Yeah, that's the thing that makes me think, yeah, I'll give it a go. So I think one thing I find with the Vice City VODs is like there's just so much it can all stack up, but like a nice one shot, that's something you can just happily dip into. You just need to know a little bit of backstory, but other than that, the soup kind of way. Will we ever see Douglas's brother? Lucky, we might do. That's where the idea. Oh, there's City Hall tonight. I've completely forgot about that. Oh, Helios. For some reason in my head, I thought that was on Wednesday. I completely forgot. Egg on my face. Hello, Thick Lofty. How are you? Are you having a nice? Thank you, Helios, for reminding. Oh. I was convinced it was on Wednesday, and I don't even know why. 1 hour ad break, but I was only planning to stream until about 9-ish. That is a problem. Lovely visual here. Love that. We have to get rid of the map just to enjoy this in its full splendor. Half the stuff I do in this game are just for aesthetics. Just the car in the snow. I've 1 hour to solve this case with whatever characters are online. Yeah, that's a problem. The shadows in this game are incredible when you standing in front of headlights next to a wall. Oh yeah, that'll look great in this car as well. Guzbo's got this great thing which we were using the other day. So he's making him and Cade are making a film. I'm going to quickly give them a shout out. And he's got this mod that you can like change the camera lens and it looks incredible. I'm hoping I can get it. Yeah, so my kind of sailor captain character was a part of that, playing the villain of their film, who was a bad Santa. Got weird very quickly. I also jumped off a crane. So it was nice to have a kind of... I wanted a character where I can just get my full weirdo on and have mad stuff happen with. The thing about Truck is... Yeah, I saw some graphic update ones. Because I don't really know what I'm doing with that kind of thing. The Santa on the crane was me, that was me! Hello there, our club. Oh, I can't believe I crashed. I've forgotten about this. I've forgotten about the town hall. Don't know what to do. Yeah, literally no one's on. Oh, that's much difficult. And it just started, right? It started at 8. Oh no. Oh no, oh no.
Hey, you! The other side of the street!
Oh, it starts at past. Ah. Well, this is a conundrum. This is an absolute conundrum. I'll just have to leave it. Where? Because no one's going to be on. There's not much else I can really do. Oh dear, oh dear.
You wanted a kid. He's your problem.
To be honest, I wanted to get it solved in the next like 2 or 3 streams.
Right on.
That doesn't seem to be an option. Well, there's one thing I've been meaning to do, so I did do that.
Well, it's Levi. How can I help?
Hi, this is Trick Dacy. Levi, you're a real estate agent?
I am. You're right, Trick.
Yeah, I'm curious. I feel like I need to get an office.
Oh yeah.
What?
You had a mind or a?
Well, no, I'm just curious, like, what the kind of prices were, and I don't even have enough money to even get such a thing. Gee.
Well, you know, it's dependent on the area, the building, the interior you're looking for, but you've like bare minimums around 20k at the moment.
Oh, I don't have that much money. Sorry to bother you.
Trick, but there you go. You got a price to work towards.
Oh, I think I'm a while off that. The shake that I
Well,
do
for the
payment from
payment
one
plan.
person. All right.
For
Well.
a payment plan where you could pay in 3 installments over 3 weeks. With the pretext of I will break your legs if you don't make a payment.
Sounds like a crime to me, but
I'll make you sign a form.
probably best to avoid that because I don't think I'm gonna get that much income whilst I'm working on one. I've got one case on my load at the moment.
All right, I see. The PI on you.
That's right.
Doing a bit of investigating.
I'm on the murder.
What?
Murder most foul.
With
The surgeon.
the happenstance bloke.
That's right. Did you know the fella?
You know, I spoke to him once or twice. I don't really know him that well.
Were you there the night of the masquerade ball?
Yeah, I was actually.
And you didn't happen to see him get into any kind of fights, disagreements with anyone?
Well, he did have a bit of a verbal scrap with Danny D. Donkey.
Danny the Donkey. Fellow owes him money, I believe.
Oh, really?
Do you know anything about that?
No, I couldn't say, to be honest with you. I haven't been out of the loop. But you know, if there was
how
someone
well
that
do you know
had a
Danny the
grudge,
Donkey?
I'd say fairly well.
Does he strike you as the murdering type?
No, I wouldn't say so, no, but he strikes me the type to do it on accident and then try and hide it.
Yeah, I would have thought the same thing, but he has told me in the past about having been married 4 or 5 times, and each time his wife has died.
Well, that is concerning.
Seems suspicious, and also when I happily offered to take the case of their mysterious deaths pro bono, he was very like, oh, please don't do that, please don't do it.
All right, Alex. Sorry there, Derek.
It's no problem.
Hey, Robbie, how you doing?
But, okay, so he doesn't strike you as the murdering type, but maybe the kind who might... Basically, he strikes you as a manslaughter type.
Aye. You know, he strikes me as someone that could fuck up that battling, but I don't think he'd do it on purpose.
Like, he might have, slipped on some piss or shit or something.
Aye, exactly that.
It's hard to say that in my voice. Alright, well, hopefully at some point I'll get a big load of money somehow, and I'll be in touch with you again so I can get myself a sweet office.
Right, Trigler, you know what I'll be.
Thanks for your help, Levi.
Hey, worries. Good luck on the case.
Thank you very much. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Danny the donkey? Yeah, no one else available is of any use. Yeah, I want to get Trick to cool off this with like a spinning fan and like a desk. I do have 20, but that's like pretty much all I have.
That's a nice ride.
If I can find out if he's got a weapons license,
Nice car.
that's what I really want to do, is find out who has weapon licenses. So that was the lead we kind of got from Bert, was medical staff have all got tasers, but they can all qualify to get exactly the gumshoe detective office. That's exactly what I'm after, Helios. Tommy Egan. Is that Aztaz? Is Tommy Egan Aztaz?
Nice wheel.
Hello, Right Said Bread. How are you? How's the case? Well, Right Said Bread made a bit of a boo-boo. I forgot that the town hall was tonight. In my head it was on Wednesday. So no one's here. No one's here for me to really question. Or at least no one who's involved. But, Bread, what I would say is... Check your DMs. Check your DMs on Discord. Because there might be something that I was angling at the other day. And this is something else I found when talking to Bert as well. I've had some things happen in front of people, or they're kind of being witnesses to things, and they can't remember it. Happened more than once. So I'm going to have to start doing is sending refreshers to people before I go on, I think. Like, there's something I thought I need to send this person this one thing, because it was very subtle and not even intentional, and it's just a way I found that works that can plug a little gap. But I love the snow in this black and white in the car. It just looks great. I love it. And with the jazz going too. Just love it. Look at it. It's all about the aesthetics of this. Don't care about storyline. If I want people stood around in it with umbrellas in the rain, I'm gonna make it damn happen. Put my engine off. So yeah, none of the people I want to question are wrong, because they're all going to be at the town hall. I want to just question Susie in April. He's not even getting paid for this one, because this is a police consultation. I should ask the police. Do I get consultation? Do I get paid for this? At the moment, Trick has. I'm also owed 30k, I think, by Colton. But I've not seen him at the same time. Yeah, I got 21. So I'm well off getting an office. Yeah, I should hope so too. The thing is, at no point have I ever said, "Hey, police,
Shit, that whip is hot.
give me some money for this." No point have I ever actually asked for that. So that's maybe a problem. Because also I say I take half the money at the beginning and I only get the other half if I solve it. Are the police going to do that? Are they going to give me half first? LeChuck's my kind of point of contact. He's doesn't have the power to pay me though, using the police funds. And how much should I charge as well? That's the other question. I reckon 50k? I don't know. I have no concept. 25 if I just for taking the case. And then 25 if I solve it. I've just plucked that number out of nowhere. There's a murder though. That's assuming I solve it. I'm just stuck at a bit of a loss at the moment as to do. Also, don't look at how much I don't stack stuff. My inventory is quite shambles. What's my petrol situation? The current lawyer's office. I've not even seen that. What does that look like? Is that what Ralph has? Because that seems a bit like... I want it to be a bit dingy. Because Ralph's office looks pretty snazzy. But, you know, like how they've made... Yeah, thank you so much for those gift subs, Helios. It really, that's very, very kind of you. And I'm very, 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 very endlessly appreciative. So yeah, the bar that Brat's made, like I think that kind of thing could work. That sort of little room, style of room they have, because they've managed to make that look pretty good. But I need enough money to furnish it as well. I don't know how much that costs. Also, where to locate it is the other thing. Like, where do you think it should be? Where could it go? Imagine Vespucci's expensive. Like near the train tracks kind of thing. That could be cool. Is that what we're going to do now? Or just some property scouting? Before I've even got the money to purchase anywhere. Also going to need a bit of gas soon. Right. What about this? Something like one of these. Yeah, I imagine it's cheap around here. It's not exactly the most desirable places. And I like having fire escapes. And ideally we'd have one here. But that's not an option, but then being able to see what we can see up here. Nice spot for some dramatic opening monologues. Yes! like it. I like it a lot. Just because I can stand up here. Got a lovely colours going on here. Might just give you colour just for a moment, just so you can see how it looks. Ah! Love it. Give me them. See, imagine if I did have one of those graphics mods. What would that look like? What would that look like? I think this is the one. We're not too out of the way. Okay, here we go. This could be where the problem lies. All about the views. So is that the plan, Sheep Boy? You know, and potentially get access to this billboard. Oh. And we're not far off you getting this laptop, right? I think I remember you saying something being around Christmas time. Auto shop here. And then we've got Pizza This right there. Bowling alley too. And it's very close to Davy's office as well. I mean, that's a double win. I reckon this one here. Is it actually part of the auto shop or not? Oh, do I just go for the payment plan is the question. Knowing that there could potentially be some police payment coming my way. These doors on the small stretches. It's not got any signs up that I can see. Eight 187. Oh. Oh! Enter unlocked house. It's not unlocked. That'd be we'd be neighbours. Interesting. It's funny how we went for similar kind of vibes. I don't know why. Just gonna tweet him. Let's see what he says. $13 months' wage as a bonus. Ooh. Of course that gets taxed. That's an incredible amount. Well, maybe we'll find out. Who knows if you'll get it? I mean, if you do, that'd be spectacular. I'm enjoying a sheep, and that's a very exciting prospect. I still can't believe it. In light of the Sebastian Watts. Hello. Hello, everyone. Right, where should we arrange to meet Susie? Where's a dramatic place we could meet Susie? Train yard's not far from here. It's been interesting, Sheep, because you obviously been accepted in, and you're in the Discord and you see all the stuff. It's almost like you've got like the insider view when actually not even being able to. You have to forget everything you've seen. 8181. Alright, let's see if we can make something happen here. It's an answer. Ralph's on as well. It's going to be interesting. You can use controller, but for like driving. Is Tommy a real estate agent? I don't think he is. Now, in theory, we could interview Ralph. But no one's actually pointed us in his direction yet. $45K! Okay. HJP, if the police could pay me $45K in advance, that'd be great. That'd be great. Ah. Ralph is a lawyer, you can discuss weapon license stuff with it. 8181? Is that where I am? Or was it 1818? 8181.
What do you want, Trick?
Ah, hey there, Ralph. Do my eyes deceive me? I look in my services. Under lawyer? Whose name do I see appear there?
Yeah, Trick.
You're on the side of the law now.
I've always been on the side of the law.
Well, that's questionable. First time I met
Well,
you was
yeah.
committing crimes.
Well, I believe the second time I met you, you beat me up and sent me to hospital.
I think a helicopter hit you on the head.
No, I think it was you beat me up.
I mean, I have beat you up. I guess now, technically on multiple occasions.
Well, yeah, because you were wearing a police uniform, so I technically wasn't allowed to fight back. But, you know, if you met me one-on-one in the streets...
Which you
when
have done.
there was no...
And I beat
when
you.
there was no... No.
Yes.
You're making that up, Trick.
No, it definitely happened right outside the hospital.
Just, yeah, well, you know, that was in front of the police. I couldn't do anything. You know, you've got him on your side. You've got him in your pocket because you used to be a police officer, Trick. I know about you.
Well, Ralph, I was about to say, now that you're a lawyer, I mean, I feel like that's changed my perspective of you a bit.
Well, yeah, because I know the rules now. I know you can't get away with this.
And you're gonna try and, you know, you do your best to be an upstanding citizen. I really respect that, Ralph.
I've always been standing.
Not after I beat your ass, you weren't.
Right, Trick, there's no need for that. What did you want, you jerk?
Trying to make amends here, Ralph.
Yeah, well, so is the way you make amends by reminding someone about how you beat him up several times?
You brought it up.
Yeah, in a negative way. There wasn't any need for you to start taunting me.
I thought we're just old friends reminiscing.
Wait, do you often reminisce with friends about how you beat them up?
I mean, if you did it, I'm sure it's going to come up.
You jerk.
Well, I was wondering if I could, you could come meet me and we could discuss something.
Well, why didn't you come to my office? What's wrong with my office?
Oh, I can come to your office. Where's your office?
It's 8043. If you go on Strawberry Avenue side of 804, and I'll be stood outside my office. But I'm warning you, Trick. I'll have backup here.
I won't lay a finger on you. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, I know you won't.
I promise. Like I said, I got a newfound respect. I got a newfound respect for you being in the law.
Yeah, well,
you know one thing I hate, Ralph? Do you know what I hate more than anything?
Badges.
It's crime. Now you're doing your best to make sure those who commit it
Oh, no, I'm on
down.
defense. I'm on defense.
Okay, well then you're trying to protect the innocent, I hope.
Well, sometimes. I mean, there's not a lot of innocent people in this city, Trick.
Yeah, you raise a very good point there, Ralph.
There's a lot of thieves, drug people, and murderers.
Murderers, you say? You know any murderers?
Yeah. I might know one or two, but, you know, I might be a lawyer for some of those.
I see. Well,
you know, and
I need to talk to you in regards to an investigation. I was thinking you might be able to help me in some way.
Well, it depends what's in it for old Ralphie.
Knowing that you're doing the right thing. No? Doing the right thing, not a... Hello?
Let's get to the office and see what happens, Trick.
I'm literally just coming around the corner now.
Well, clean yourself up before you come in the office, then.
I'm always clean.
Hanging up now, you jerk.
Oh, I thought you already had. Bye. See you very shortly. Hey there, Ralph.
Are you sure you didn't want to park a little bit further away, Trick?
No.
I gotta say, I can't let this lie. What a bad parking job.
I'm renowned for not being the best driver.
How far away from the curb are you, Trick?
Just gotta be ready for action, gee.
Trick, what's wrong with this spot here? You could have done a nice
I was worried
reverse
that I was
parking,
gonna...
yeah?
I didn't want to hit... Is this car yours here?
No,
Oh. What about this one here?
no, none of these cars
Oh,
are
that's okay.
mine.
I just didn't want to hit your car, Ralph. I'll happily park there.
Trick, go and get your car and reverse park.
Always smash that window.
Oh my god! Oh my god, Trick! This is awful!
Hey! You just hit my car, damn it!
You just hit your car.
Yeah, that was accidental. Much like the first time I hit you was an accident.
Yeah, but like, it just shows that you were angry at it as well.
I was angry because of you
Well, that's 1-all.
hitting my car. I came up with a name for it, but I've forgotten it. Eleanor!
Yeah.
You hit Eleanor!
Eleanor?
That's right.
It doesn't look like an Eleanor.
It is, because you know what that make of car is called?
What?
A Roosevelt.
Ah. Do you know what I'd call it?
Out of my league.
I'd call it...
Talking in your person.
I'd call that car Ad, because it looks like a lovely ride. Right, I should have said Ad's mum.
I'd ride it 3 times. We all should have said Ad's
Jesus.
mum. Shall we step into your office?
Yeah, my office is here. Wait there. There's a bit of snow on the sign. Let me just clean it off.
I'm looking into getting an office myself. Did you get this through Levi?
Yeah, I got it from Levi. You know, Levi, if I was to describe Levi, I'd say scumbag, but with a heart of gold.
Okay, what are the attributes that make them a scumbag?
Well, does scumbag things.
Such as?
To being a scum. Well, I'm Levi's lawyer, so I can't talk too much
Oh,
about it.
I see. You know things. Gotcha. Ralphabet.
Yeah, we do everything from A to Z.
Well, that's very
A
good.
to Z. But
Shall
we don't do C. And you know what C is?
Crime.
Yep. Also, we don't do D. Do you know what D is?
Dilfs.
No, dogging. Right, you'll have to ring the bell when I'm in.
With one comes the other.
Right, Trick, before we go in,
Yes.
I need to tell you something.
Okay.
My receptionist Lisa's here.
Okay.
She's very flirty, so just be careful. I don't want you flirting with her back.
Well,
okay?
I'll turn off the charm.
Oh, was it turned on?
Oh, you were.
Don't know about that, Trick. Hey, Lisa, how's it going?
Got perfect,
are you
Lisa.
practicing the saxophone again?
Hey there, baby cakes. Ow! What are you doing?
I said no flirting.
I wasn't flirting.
Baby cakes?
Well, everyone. Baby
You call
cakes.
me baby cakes? Well, no, you can't do it now, Trick.
Let me lose my goddamn hat. Always a
It's
problem when
okay.
that happens.
I've actually got your hat over here in the corner. Just by Brenda's cage there.
How'd you get my hat?
Yeah, I just have a spare one of your hat just right there.
Oh, what are the odds?
There you go.
How'd you get that?
Hey, Brenda! Brenda! You been good today, Brenda? Oh, good you. Oh, good you.
Now, last time I saw you, Ralph, we were kind of discussing...
Oh,
Do you mind if I take a seat?
Wait, where you gonna take my seat?
I gotta take it for a
That's-
ride.
That's my seat.
Last time we spoke, you were kind of just under the delusion that Brenda was no longer of this world. You still under that delusion?
No. I think you'll find I'm a man who likes evidence. I don't go around making accusations willy-nilly without knowing that there's firm evidence about something.
Okay.
So, I might shout actually, just in case. The desk is quite far away.
Do you need me to do the same?
You're all right with what you are just now, but just in case.
Hear me now.
Oh, are you gonna do a rap?
Tricky D. Gonna solve
you
a
know-
mystery.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
So you better listen to me, see?
Uh-huh.
Solving crimes
Don't-
like Bogart Humpery.
Yep, keep going.
Oh, you catch me down in the jazz hall. You're gonna soon take a fall. That's if you do a crime. 'Cause I ain't got time for those who do crime. Now's your bit.
Do you know what? It's funny you say that, because in my head, there's a little voice that's just gone to me, rap about how you don't do dogging and crimes. And normally at this point, I'd do a little rap, but it lasts like a minute and a half, so
Oh,
I
I've
don't
got
really
I've got all the time in the world, Ralph.
Okay, but just bear in mind that in my head, I'm thinking about a little ditty at the start that...
I can imagine
know,
it. I'm pretty sure I can imagine how that goes.
Right, so about not dogging and crimes. Okay. Okay, I'm getting ready.
I can't seem to zoom. That's because the camera's not working.
Ralph coming at you just like Boba Fett, but I ain't doing crimes in case that you forget. I'm here just doing my lawyering stuff, and I'm looking kinda cool and looking kinda buff. There's two things I don't do, dogging and crimes. That's the kind of thing I talk about in rhymes, 'cause what I do is get my clients off, whether they're a footballer or whether they're Darren Goff. Darren Goff's a cricketer, he plays with his bat. Some people say, hey Darren, you're looking kind of fat. And to them I say that's a libel lawsuit. So sit here while I play the flute.
Oh, you like Lizzo.
Now let's go into verse number 2. Some people like to stand there chopping down trees, and when they do, I sometimes do a little sneeze. And say, hey, you there, why are you logging?
Logging?
When instead you could be sat in your car doing dogging.
Dogging?
Oh no, that's the kind of thing I don't do. I've already said 2 things I don't do. Did I rhyme do with do? Yes, I bloody did.
You bloody
Am
did.
I a small goat? No, that's a kid. And that's the end of the rap.
I did a little bit of ad-libbing in there too. Would you like that?
I didn't like it, to be honest.
Oh.
I'm more a solo artist.
Yeah, but solo artists still have the ad-libbing back hype man.
Well, so you're saying that you're like the Jazzy Jeff to my Fresh Prince?
No, I'm not a DJ. I mean, I've got a gramophone. We could maybe hook that up and, I'll back on some, Glenn Miller, and we can just, go to town.
Have you noticed Trick is snowing outside?
It's lovely out there, isn't it?
Do you know how you find Will Smith in the snow?
You look for fresh prints?
Why?
Because that's the best way to track someone in the snow?
Yeah, but you wouldn't know necessarily that those are Will Smiths.
No, you just asked what the best way was. I mean, well, I can tell you.
But if what you're gonna do, if I said, "Can you find Will Smith in the city?" You're gonna just walk out the door and look at the Fresh Prince.
What I'd probably
That's
do is, I don't know, make some kind of ableist comment about his wife and just wait for him to slap my face silly.
Yeah, well, you know, I wouldn't blame you. There was a guy in this city who did make some, you know, rather disingenuous
Disingenuous remarks?
disparaging remarks about Brenda once, and I slapped them around the face.
Oh yeah, so,
Do you like that? I got us back on track.
you did, very good.
There's a little sieg, that.
A Sieg. Ah. I've seen people driving around on Siegs. Oh, it'd be great if we got them here, wouldn't it? If we had them in Quiet City. Just driving around on Siegs.
We're
How
getting
great would
off
that
track
be?
again. We're getting off track again.
We're getting off trick again.
Yeah, off trick, Dacy.
Speaking of Trick Dacy, that's me. Hello.
What are you here for, Trick? You need lawyering? You've been doing crimes? What have you done?
I'm approaching anyone. I've got basically the guest list of the masked ball. I'm investigating the happenstance case, the happenstance murder. I'm basically approaching everyone who attended. Were you there that night?
Was I there that night? I was there that night. I was dressed as Monkey Mouse.
You were dressed as what?
I was dressed as Monkey Mouse.
And what did that costume look like?
A monkey mask. No, wait, fuck.
A monkey mask in a mouse's body, you say?
No, I didn't say that. It's a mouse's face and a monkey's body.
Oh, you're
And
wearing
then
that now. I thought this was just your loungewear.
And then, strangely enough, a frog's legs. But also, the weird thing about the Monkey Mouse costume is that they've put special technology in. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of the Emperor's New Clothes.
Emperor's New Groove?
No, Emperor's New Clothes. They made him some nice clothes, and they said, "Oh, these clothes are made of invisible fabric. They can only be seen by the extremely clever." And then the Emperor said, "Oh, well, I can definitely see them." And then he went and walked out in the town completely in the nude with his outfit on, and everyone was like, "Ha ha, you're an idiot. You've got no clothes on." And he was like, "No, I've got clothes that only intelligent people can see." And that's much like Monkey Mouse's pants, where the moral of the story was that all the people in the town were idiots and the Emperor was really clever. And that's like with Monkey Mouses, except with Monkey Mouses, if you can't see his arse, it means you're a pervert.
I see.
So I put it to you, Trick Dacy. Can you see Monkey Mouse's arse?
Well, I can definitely see the shape of kind of something. It's more translucent than your usual ass, but I can see some sort of definition, to be honest.
You know I'm a lawyer, Trick.
I do.
I can smell when people are lying.
So, yes, you were at the party.
Yep, dressed as Monkey Mouse.
Okay, why were you dressed as Monkey Mouse?
Why not? It's a nice outfit. They said you wanted masks on. I thought, well, what better mask than Monkey Mouse?
Okay, and did you know This Douglas happenstance?
Yeah, he was a jerk.
A jerk, you say? What gives you that impression of the man?
Well, did you ever meet him?
No, never met the fella.
You never met him? Why not?
Oh, it's complicated.
No, tell me.
We never seem to be in town at the same time.
What? Wait, was he sleeping with your wife?
I don't have a wife, so good luck to him.
Oh, she left you because she ran off with
No,
happenstance?
there's no one to leave. I'm a lone wolf.
Ah, you should put a wolf on it.
Put a wolf on it.
Yeah.
Hashtag shy.
In fact, the song "Wolf on It" starts with a story about his wife leaving him, so that actually brings it full circle.
Yeah, I've always been curious about that person's ringtone.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
Yeah, I've never heard a phone go batang. It's almost like he was just looking for any sort of rhyme he could make.
Imagine just making up a rhyme. What kind of idiot would
Outrageous.
do that?
So you didn't like the guy? Why not? Well, you said he's a jerk. Did he do anything to you?
Yeah, said things about me.
What did he say?
Said he didn't. I can't remember actually. Did he say that I think he said that I wouldn't be a good mayor. And I don't like people who don't believe in me.
He said you wouldn't make a good mayor. Well, I mean, you're a lawyer now. I mean, that's gonna count
Yeah.
for something, right?
And then, do you know what he did? He came in the toilets.
He
and
what,
was
in the
trying to say
toilets?
to me- yeah, exactly. And while I was in there, and he was like, "Oh, I've got some information for you from the mayor," and I was like, well, "What kind of information? Like, tell me about it then." And he's like telling me, "Oh no, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you." And I was like, "Tell me." And he was being a jerk, so I went and grabbed him and I took him in the toilet and gave him a swirly.
You took him in the toilet,
I gave him a swirly.
and you gave him a swirly. My God.
Yeah, I picked him up on my shoulder and I threw him in the toilet and then I flushed the chain.
Well, good on you if he's been disrespecting you in such a way.
Yeah,
But
and I definitely
was that your
didn't
first
murder
altercation with the man?
him. No, I've had others.
What else?
Some people think I'm quite antagonistic the first time they meet me.
Yeah, I can't see where they get that from.
Some people just punch me for no reason.
Some people just flex their punching muscles by accident, and then the other
Oh,
person
yeah.
doesn't really listen to that.
Would that stand up in a court of law? Probably would.
What's
today.
it called when it's like been a long time? You're a lawyer, you'll be able to tell me that.
Oh, just a dry patch.
Statute of limitation, I think, is the one you're looking for there. I want to
Oh.
write that down.
I thought you were saying because you hadn't had a wife in a while.
My wife is Justice.
Oh, and happenstance slept with her?
Well, she is blind.
You don't think happenstance was an attractive man?
I've never met the guy. I've just seen a photo. He got a big cheesy mustache.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird mustaches in this town, to be honest. I
So-
don't like them.
My understanding is this guy just kept kind of just constantly disrespecting you.
Yeah, disrespected me, and if there's two things I don't like: people who don't disrespect me, and jerks.
You use the word jerk a lot. I've heard, well, first-hand experience of that.
Yeah, well, I tell it like it is. I'm a straight talker, all right?
That's fair enough. Now, what's this you were saying about you not making a good mayor? What's that all about?
I told a couple of people in strictest confidence that I maybe was thinking of running a mayor, and then happenstance was doing his stupid auction. Where'd all the money go for that? You found that out?
That's something I'm looking into. Don't you worry about that.
I believe Danny DeDonkey paid like 50 grand in that auction.
Well, my understanding is that he didn't pay that money.
You're telling me Danny DeDonkey's not a man of his word?
You met the fellow, right?
Let me just check my retainer list. I'm just checking this to know whether I can slag off Danny D Donkey or
Actually,
not.
I mean, it's between you and me, so if I give you $1, I've learned this on TV, that'll count as like attorney-client privilege.
Do you know what? He's a jerk.
Ah, yes, excellent. Why, here's there a checkered past. It seems all of his wives mysteriously passed away.
I mean, to be fair, they got off lightly.
I mean, would be really likely if it's Danny that's getting them off.
Excuse me?
It's a poor taste joke, I apologize. God rest their souls.
Yeah, all 6 of them.
Oh, I thought it
How
was
did-
5.
how-
Oh
how
no,
did he
it's 6 of them, but he married one of them twice.
Yeah, well, then there's only 5 of them.
Yeah, so all 5 of them. He's
How
not
did he
quite
persuade-
Henry VIII yet.
I can't
Yeah.
understand how Danny the Donkey persuaded 5 women to marry him, one of them twice.
I know, especially with that hair.
Put that on your investigation for next trip.
Oh, I've said I'd happily offered it pro bono and everything to look into the deaths of all his wives, and
Oh,
he acted very
You're
cagey about that.
you're positive about
He's ran away quite a
the
few
lead
times.
singer
when I
of
said it.
you're positive about the lead singer of U2.
Are you not? They gave you a whole
No, I-
album for free, Ralph.
No, I'm not pro bono.
What about the Edge? Are you on the Edge?
I like to live my life on the edge. He's not happy about it though.
I mean, he's got to pay for all those effects pedals somehow.
I think we've gone off track again, Trick.
I don't know any other members of U2, so I can't take this any further.
It's like that episode of Alan Partridge. How is the edge? The edge is fine. How's the other one? The other one is fine.
I like it when they're on the Simpsons and then they all say they're going to go out for a beer and then the bassist asks if they can join them and they just say no and walk off. And for some reason that really tickles me.
I don't remember that episode of
Oh,
Alan
it's one of
Partridge.
the best ones. It's when he becomes the trash, the head of like the trash department.
Oh, were you just laughing thinking about it now, Trick?
I was laughing because I couldn't think of a better word for trash departments. Waste department? Oh, the garbage man can.
Good work, Trick.
It's good. It's
I
got
can
Steve
see why-
Martin in it.
I can see why you got fired from the police now.
I didn't get fired. I quit. So, take that, you bastard. Anyway, so we got off track. We got off track.
Hey, well, you're just about to ask me more questions, but the last thing you just said is call me a bastard.
Hey, you
don't
called
wanna
me a
end up
jerk.
like-
You
don't
called me
wanna
a
end up
jerk,
like
Lou. You called me a
happenstance to
jerk,
you.
Loge.
The last person who called me a jerk was happenstance, and look what happened to him.
Oh. So... That's an interesting way of phrasing that there, Ralph. Did he... Speaking of you too, did he push you to the edge? Had ambitions of being mayor, he keeps talking you down, bringing you down. Destroys those hopes, destroys those dreams, so what better can you do than destroy him? Where did you go after the party, Ralph?
I went alone for a little walk.
Anyone see you on this walk?
I don't believe so. I often blend into a crowd. I'm
Of
not
course.
I'm not a very noticeable man.
So you're saying you got no alibi for the time of the murder?
What are you trying to say here, Trick?
I'm just presenting the facts that are given before me here.
Look. Ask me straight. Ask me if I was involved, Trick.
Were you involved, Ralph?
No, I wasn't.
Did you kill Douglas Happenstance?
Why is your phone out?
I don't know. Oh, I was trying to zoom in on you when you were doing your rap on my phone. I wanted to take a cool video, but it wasn't working.
I thought maybe you'd... Have you been recording this call this entire time? This
Call?
call? This chat?
No, because then, I don't know, for some reason it disappeared, and then when I stood back up, it reappeared again. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, did you kill Happenstance?
No.
Now, you mentioned said something about information from the mayor? Is that what you said?
He said he had some information about the mayor, I believe. From his conversation with the mayor. And I'd love to know what that information was.
Yeah, so it seems,
But he was a jerk.
No, I don't. I agree with you, Ralph. I don't think he treated you right.
Oh, so you think he deserved to die?
I don't think he deserved to die. But I can see why you could call him a jerk and not be happy about him. But would you take it as far as ending his life? Do you have a weapons license, Ralph?
No, I hate violence. I hate violence, and I hate guns.
So when I do the check with the police and I check up on everyone's weapon licenses, your name definitely won't be there.
No, I do not have a weapons license. I had a weapons license a long time ago when I started out with crime, but it was soon taken off me because I did a crime, and then they take it off you. But yeah, I've not had a weapons license in a long time. And if you were to look down my list of crimes I did when I was a crime person, there wasn't any that involved a gun because I didn't like guns.
What
I can't
about
abide
violence?
guns. I hate violence. I hate it.
I mean, you punched me in the face not too long ago.
Yeah, well, you know, sometimes when I get really angry, if I get really angry and push to the edge, I make decisions which are sometimes self-destructive, if anything. But there's only a
what's
few
the opposite
things.
of shelf?
Shelf?
Come on, I set that one up for you to knock out the park there. Come on now. Draw.
I guess I only have my shelf to blame.
You only have yourself, but self-destructive or utterly destructive to others, or a bit of both.
Are you trying to say I like a bit of both?
Are you saying you don't?
No. I certainly don't.
It's 2022, Ralph. You shouldn't be so defensive about such a thing.
I've got a almost girlfriend.
Who's that?
Mind your own business. It's
Well,
not Lisa.
Not Lisa, but was this almost girlfriend also at the masquerade ball?
No. No, they weren't.
And do they have any kind of history? Like, did they know about your predicament with Happenstance and
No, I
the bad
don't
blood
talk to
between
them.
you?
I don't talk to them about things like that because you know they're quite an important member of the PD. And wait! Stop it! Stop tricking me!
That's why they call me Trick, and that because it's
I
on my
thought-
birth certificate and it's my name. My father was a magician.
Wait. What's your surname?
Dacy.
Dacy. A magician called Dacy. Wait. What if Dacy was the original name of a magician who used a stage name for his stage performance? Wait. Google. What was Paul Daniels' real name? Paul Dacy?
Let's not pull at these threads, Ralph. They lead to dark, dark places.
Are you threatening me?
No. I'm referring to my sad past. What was I going to say? Oh, yes. I know someone who once tweeted Paul Daniels. I got a reply, and he's still quite proud of it.
Well, he won't be getting any more replies.
Well, this is the power of Paul Daniels, you see. He might be able to have the power to talk to us from beyond the grave.
No, don't think he does.
You not see some of the wild stuff he pulled? Like Debbie McGee?
I mean, that was a trick. I'd love to know how he did
exactly
that.
How did he do such a thing?
How did he do that?
So your girlfriend, who you don't talk to those things about, I'm gonna make a wild guess and say you don't talk to them about much.
I talked to them about a lot.
Oh, there's one thing I wanted to ask you.
Oh, I'm flattered, but I'm not interested. I did just tell you I've got a girlfriend.
No. You said that your business does everything from A to Z. Could you just give me an example for every single letter?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, please. Off you go.
A. Animals.
So what, you do animals?
Yeah. Do you want an animal?
No thanks. B.
B. Bus tours.
Oh, I'd like to do one of those.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a tour called Ralph's Crime Tours. It's going to be
I hate
a
crime,
guide.
gosh dang it.
A guide to my my past as a criminal. I'll be taking you around some of the spots where I got arrested in the past, and showing you lots of different things from the past, which I don't do now. Some of the hot spots, some of the houses I used to rob, some of the places where I used to do naughty drug stuff, which I then stopped doing because I didn't like the drug stuff.
A redemption tour.
Yeah. And it will end with probably like in one of the like food places, and we'll try and scam everyone for some overpriced donuts.
Scam people?
Well, you know.
That's a crime.
No, well, we'll just put the donut price up that day and just say, oh, there's been the price of hundreds and thousands has gone through the roof.
How much by?
Probably by, I know what you want me to say, and I'm not going to say it.
Go on, say it.
But by about $10.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Where were we
C.
up to? X?
No,
X?
C. We're only on C.
We don't do C. Crime.
Oh, but you don't do anything else beginning with C?
No. Because
Busted.
otherwise, I can't say we don't do C. Crime. We only do
Calligraphy?
one thing for each. No. No, we don't
Calendars.
do that. We actually do calligraphy, but I class it under D.
4.
Drawing.
Oh, I thought you didn't do D. For dogging.
You're right. We don't do D.
I'm a detective.
so
You can't
that's-
get these things past me, Ralph.
E. Elephants.
It does not come. That doesn't come under animals.
Elephants are not an animal.
An elephant is not an animal. How did you pass the bar, Ralph?
Well, I kind of went over it. F. Fishing.
Fishing. Close to animals, but I'll let that one slide.
How is that close to
It
animals?
involves animals. It's got wood fish in it.
G. Golf.
Okay, and how's that your business?
Well, I do golf trips.
I see. Crazy or sane?
Well, both.
Oh, my God.
What are we on now? H. Haircuts.
Oh, haircuts. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, but I don't actually do the haircut. I just will drive
just
you
do
to the
haircut
haircut
trips.
place. Yeah.
I'm sensing a theme here.
I.
Nay.
Is I is for I'm having a good time on this bus tour. J is just a lovely bus tour.
I see.
K is kicking footballs.
See? Yes. L.
Lovely bus tour. My word, this bus tour's good.
Let's see how much we can do, Ed.
Never been on a bus tour as good as this.
Oh, I think I've
Oh
already.
my-
I think I've given this one away already.
Oh my word, what a great bus tour.
P.
Please, take me on another bus tour.
Now here we go. Q.
Quiet, everyone, on this quiet bus
Quiet City bus tour.
Quiet City bus tour, fuck!
Though I do like the idea
Ah.
of a quiet tour.
Yeah, it's a quiet one. We just don't talk all the way.
Ah, perfect.
R,
R.
rather enjoying this bus tour. S, such a great bus tour. T, this bus tour's good.
U.
Sorry, a sec. A name popped up in my head, and it threw me. I don't want to read it out, Trick, to be honest. This name seems to be following me right now, and I don't want to read it out, Trick.
Okay.
I can't do it. What's the next letter?
U.
Umbrellas.
V.
Sorry, there's noises in my head right now. It's a lot of noise. Sorry,
Really
Trick.
curious
What's-
about this name that's popped into your head. I can't lie.
Well, someone else called It's Go-Go Girl has just followed me, which is lovely. I hope they're not...
They sound great.
I hope they're not in any way related to Go-Go at the hospital, who I absolutely hate. And
Oh,
is
no.
a jerk. Yeah. What's the next letter, Trick?
Did you do V? I can't remember.
A very nice bus tour.
Here, X? Oh, W, sorry, W.
Oh, wasps kill bears.
What's
Can we get a shout out, please? That's
know what that
weird.
is. Sounds
Why
rough.
does that say that on here?
Does that not come under animals?
Oh, yeah. Wait, I'll go. Lisa, can you check W?
Crikey.
WX. Xylophones allowed on this bus
Stinky's
tour only.
arrived. Stinky's arrived.
Why? Yes! Another bus tour.
Thank you, Boothy116.
And
And thank you,
Z.
Tired Paul.
Zoo trip.
There's some people,
Transport.
there's some voices in your head that I think I might need to thank.
Z is for zoo tour. Brackets. Unsure on vehicle to be used on this tour. Possibly bus? Question mark?
You drive a bus around a whole zoo?
No, we take them to the zoo, and then that's it.
Have you invested in a bus yet?
Oh yeah, do you want to see the bus?
Oh, we genuinely do.
Yeah.
Did you notice any other kind of animosity? Like, so the mayor was at this party?
Wait there. Sorry, I just forgot. Lisa, I'm just popping out. Hold any of my calls? Yep. By the way, Lisa, I don't know if you've noticed, some people say that the sun shines out of Lisa's arse.
Stinky's arrived.
And to
Thank
them
you,
I say,
Gilroy.
no, it's a lamp.
Stinky's
Oh,
arrived.
yeah, you. How was that attached? Oh, by goodness me. Thank
Yeah,
you, Ruby
she
G.
clenches the entire day. How's the sax lessons going, Lisa? Oh, that's good. Right, come on, Trick.
Do you play sax on the beach?
Trick, you might want to move your car.
Oh, after all the effort you made me to put my car here.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I'm going to have problems with this red car as well, but let's see what happens.
Oh, I didn't lock it.
don't
Oh,
ask
wow.
what happened back there, Trick.
Am I able to get in the back?
Yeah, you can get in. If you jump in
And then change my seats?
and then you can change seats, yeah.
No way. That's cool. Do you know what you can do in my car? You can stand on the sides.
I believe you can come around corners.
Well, you know, if I'm at the right angle, yeah.
Oh, that doesn't look good.
Okay, which one would I go in here? Left, rear, I guess?
Any of the other seats. I actually think that car's about to explode, so... Whoa! Whoa!
Oh,
Yeah,
yes! That's cool.
Yeah, see? So I can take a load of people around and do a little tour. And I can go... Right, okay. I'll give you a little example tour. Alright, we're currently driving under Pillbox Hospital. This is where a lot of the EMS work. This is also where I believe they took Happenstance's body and decided they couldn't do anything with him because he's a jerk.
Well, I think there's more massive organ failure, but yes.
Well, yeah, but they had a look if they could do anything. Probably, I don't know.
Do you know how he died?
I might do.
You were shot, Ralph.
I figured that from all the fact that you told me about his stuff with. Did I have a weapons license?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Stuff?
So that makes me wonder why you're so cagey about answering the question.
Well, you might have been shot, and then did they check if I'm trying to think of things that I can say here.
I'm having flashbacks of a time where I went on an open top bus tour, and it was really snowing, and basically it was the coldest I've ever been in my life.
Oh, on the left here, this is where the party happened.
Oh yes.
And everyone had a great time, apart from Happenstance, who died later that night.
Yeah, that put a downer on his evening.
And then, I don't know exactly where it was, but I believe from, word on the street that it was like somewhere down here or something he died. I don't know, to be honest,
Word on the street, really it was somewhere down here or something.
Yeah, that's, to be honest, when people go to me, oh, do you know where Happenstance died? I just go, yeah, leave it out. I don't know,
you don't
somewhere.
know where he died?
Well, I know he was somewhere where there's like building work going on, so I don't know. To be honest, I was like, yeah, so what? Who cares? He was a jerk, get over it. One more jerk off the streets.
What did you do to the streets?
There might have been one, it might have been in there, it might have been in that other one, I don't know. Who cares? And yeah, there's ammunition where someone could buy a gun to shoot Happenstance. Of course, if they didn't want to buy a gun from ammunition, they could get one illegally.
There's a gun shop not far from the murder scene.
Uh-oh, I think I might have to deal with something a second.
Oh, I
believe there's just a load of bots in my head. Just bear with me a second.
That's not a good feeling.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll drop you off here.
Can you drop me where my car is?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't recognize the streets.
I don't
still
think
don't
you
know
need
my way
any
around
other
here.
information at the moment, do you?
No, that was perfect. Thank you very much, Ralph.
Yeah, sorry for cutting this off, but
Oh
yeah,
no,
it appears,
I completely understand. Don't you worry about it.
it appears that someone must be quite angry with me and be sending a load of people to just chase
Yeah. You'd think, the witness, Takeheart, would have heard Ralph.
Attention.
Yeah, you'd have heard Ralph, like, chatting away. Oh, I can't believe I did it, sort of thing. But that was a lot of fun. I'm glad I finally got to interrogate someone. And of all the people it could be first, it would be a musical number. Or a rap, as we discovered. Thank you for the follow, Ty Paul, as well. An honour to have you in. A Twitch, a chat legend. Chat legend. So it's nice to see you in here. It's alright. It's alright. It happens. It happens. Paul, do you have any theories? Sometimes these things, like, there was a while where I discovered, who was it? I don't remember. And I discovered I wasn't following them, despite being in their streams multiple times. Happens so easily. Oh, I'm slightly stressed for some reason. Ooh! Was it because I was slipping around in the snow? You think it might be April? Oh! You and Sheep have similar theories. I was hoping to question April, hence the name of today's episode. I'll show you it now. But, hasn't worked out, unfortunately. No, I can't drive for some reason. At one point I was like, I wonder if I can find a jazz version of A Hazy Shade of Winter. But then I didn't. Found like an orchestral version, but that's not the vibe we're going for here. If it wants the top job at the hospital. Big obstacle would be happenstance, because other than Serenge, he was the most senior practitioner in a way. I guess there was, but it was never really expressed. But you could look at it that way. But we're gonna. April also dislikes Takeout. I'd love to frame him for murder. I don't know, and I genuinely don't know, or do I? What April's alibi is. I don't actually know. I don't have a clue. But we're going to leave it there for tonight. It went half an hour longer than I was planning to, but that was down to Big Taff Man and his general vibe, which I love wholeheartedly. Which is why we're also... Don't you worry, Emily. Don't you worry about it. I'll get you next time. I'll get you next time. It was just bad timing. Like, I completely forgot about the town hall meeting. It completely slipped my mind. So, don't you worry about it. It was all my terrible planning that was the problem. But let's go and say... Lots of people... Like, LeChuck is a name that keeps coming up. And there's a real good there's an angle there. There is an angle for LeChuck, and I'm hoping it comes up. Or do I know it will come up? But yes, let's go and see Big Taff Man, because we had such a lovely time there. Apologies it not being maybe as eventful as I had hoped, and that's down to my poor planning. Don't know when I'll next be on. Sunday, maybe. For Quiet City stuff. I'll be on my regular Thursday morning. Fun times. Then more pros and codes. So if you're around Thursday morning, bloody see you there. Anyway, be nice to Big Taff Man. He's a nice fella. So let's all be nice to him. Oh, Sheep's in the office. You might be. Excellent. We have a lovely time on Thursday mornings, Paul. Lots of chat, lots of murder mystery games, and well, now we're doing pros and cons, which isn't mystery. It's just mystery now. Murder is kind of less prescient. Anyway, Office Christmas Party Day. Oh, right. Raid now, or forever hold my peace. Goodbye. Have a nice. Wish Taff a nice, everyone.